Welcome back to another round of the Grand Prestige round number 5 of season number 7 as we get underway with our action here. Here it is a very high-speed track. As we saw, it was action-packed last week in the WEC. And now here for the Sprint World Tour is going to be equally as how everything plays out here. My name is Patrick Coleman, aka Ruckus, and I will be your host and commentator for today. Rogue is, I believe, feeling unwell, so he won't be here today. Wishing him a speedy recovery, and I'm going to wish all of you guys a very happy Easter if you do celebrate it. If not, then, well, have fun still with your weekend all the same. Hope you guys are having a good weekend. I know I certainly am. We are about to get racing with GPL for the 5th round of the Sprint World Tour. A shorter track, but equally as action-packed. Or shorter race, I should say, equally action-packed. Monza is a lot shorter than the last round in Spa. By a pretty healthy margin to that, one of these shorter tracks on the GPL calendar. But then we head to uncharted territory starting next week at the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. The CVG is a brand new track coming into Gran Turismo, so it should be a fun one to watch. I'm looking forward to it. It's been a while since I've actually covered the Canadian Grand Prix circuit in any format. But now doing it here for the first time, making history with GPL. GPL's first stretch into Canada. And we do have Canadian driver on the grid in Schulte, who will be taking a part of CVG, most likely in the next SWT round. He may get a reserve drive for the World Elite Championship. We'll just have to find out. But before we get there, we still got one round of Monza left to go. So here's how things are going to work. If it is your first time, it is going to be a 15-minute qualifier followed by 26 laps around the Monza circuit. And we do have some new liveries this time around. One in particular. The Red Bull Adidas team is bringing out a brand new livery. We'll go on board with it once we actually get underway with qualifying. And it's a pretty interesting thing. I saw it actually before we started, while we were in kind of the practice session, kind of talking about it as we were getting underway with the presentation and getting all that stuff all set up for you guys. But qualifying is going to get underway. We're not going to waste any more time. We're just going to jump straight on into it. And we're going to go ahead and see who can make the most of this qualifying session. 15 minutes. And it starts right now. So we do have almost a full grid, as we do have 10 cars on the grid. Anti-Shifty is missing, so he will likely, unfortunately, be part of this round. And unfortunately, it looks like we do not have any of the LFO Karma drivers here, but we'll run through who we do have here at the moment. Nico DeSicco in the Project Zero Honda. And then it is going to be his teammate Killswitch. And then the Exodus Motorsports, followed by Hellas Racing's hotshot of Dennis. And then it'll be Ducadono in that brand new Red Bull Adidas, combining the 2026 Red Bull Formula 1 team livery with the Mercedes F1 team livery. A fun little hybrid livery there. High Caliber Racing running with Playing Aces as well. P23. He won the last race after some post-race penalties, so he does get one win on the board, but he'll be looking to get a win on track here this season. So should be a fun one to kind of witness as we do have 10 drivers on the grid. And it looks like Dennis will be the first one to kick off qualifying here at the Autodromo Internazionale de Monza. And now coming through the famous Parabolica is Dennis the Greek driver, racing for the Greek team, making their debut in GPL this season. The new team has actually made some really strong waves as Dennis does make his way down the start-finish line here. Coming up into Prima Variante, the first chicane, the nightmare zone for a lot of drivers. A lot of drivers absolutely hate this part of the circuit. And it should be hopefully we get through with no red flags, but if there is going to be a red flag here on the opening lap, it's probably going to be right then and there. So just something to kind of keep an eye on as he goes through the second Variante. After Curva Grande making his way to the Lesmos as he gets on through. Now it should be noted that it is very easy to lose it in the Lesmos if you're not careful, because you carry so much momentum into these corners that you could very well just lose it and end up in the gravel. We saw it a good amount during the World Elite Championship last week. We'll probably see it a little bit here this week as well. Dennis now making the run to Parabolica, and he's going to go ahead and try to just send it around the Parabolica he goes. Gonna stay wide and then try to cut in and make the run to the line, use the runoff area as part of the line to get a 1:26 to kick off the qualifier. Takadona will be 1.1 seconds off. Flaring Aces does split them into high caliber, and quite a few drivers are making their way up and through the field, setting the lap times. Championship leader only good for P6 at the moment, now P7 as Kemper jumps up the order. Still early on in the qualifying session though, we are barely even a fifth of the way in, so there'll be some more laps for these drivers to really get well acquainted with the track, and then we'll see who can maintain that pole position. Dennis right now setting a very strong time here. 1:26.5, about 6.5 tenths ahead. As we're going to go ahead and take a look at these standings as a few of these drivers still make their way through. As now it's going to be something. So Tallman is reporting that something is wrong with overtake. That is a interesting thing. I have to see what it is by now when it comes to maybe something up in the lobby settings. I'm not too sure about that, but Tallman is going to go ahead and continue on. Just taking a look at the championship driver standings here. After the last round in Spa, AJP still leads. So it's an XO1-2 at the moment. There is about a 25-point swing roughly between AJP and teammate B23. Dennis though is only 6 points behind B23, so that could be a spicy one here. And then you have the two high caliber drivers, the Flaring Case ahead of Schulte, and then it's Takadona, Tallman, Killswitch, Kemmersure, Nico, and then the two LFO racing drivers of Iceman and Andy Shifty, with Julian rounding out the standings here in SWT. The constructor standings though, we'll take a look at those real quick. And as it sits right now, Exo Rapide are on the top by exactly 100 points, so Exo Rapide looking really strong here in the standings, with High Caliber just behind with 141. Hellas Racing has 102, which is pretty good considering that they've been a one driver ever. And then like the car on your screen, Red Bull Adidas currently sitting at 90 points, Project Zero sitting at 60, LFR Karma at 33, and Hololive Racing at 24 points. So that's how it sits here at the moment, but we still have a good half of the season left to go. After this race, we will officially be in the second half of the GPL season. Like I mentioned earlier, next up is Canada, heading to the Great North for the first time in GPL history, and ever since the Circuit G2MF was added to Gran Turismo back around December, I want to say. It was when the Spec 3 update launched. we received that track and also the track where we'll be hosting our season finale of the Yas Marina circuit in Abu Dhabi. So that should be a fun one. Takadano coming across the line now, and it is going to be not quite an improvement there, as Kevin sure does continue to round his way around the track, and it will be still not quite an improvement, but drivers are still looking to find their times here. B23 will return to the pits. He does have a bit of a time penalty for going over track limits. Now Major P is sitting at the top of the food chain. Right now, the championship leader currently 2.3 tenths ahead of Dennis. And Schulte now will set an improvement as well. So a lot of drivers making some improvements up and down the field. As we'll just check in with a few of our drivers here. Takadano trying to make his way through the second Lesmo, making the run down to Ascari. And this is chicane where it's also very easy to get it all wrong. He's improved by 2 tenths of a second. Dennis jumps up to pole position again with a 125.9, so the first sub 126 on the board. Drivers are really going to try to push to fight out. I think pole position here is going to be a tough one. Although I feel like B23 hasn't quite shown his full hand here. Takadano is going to make his way to the line. We'll see if it's an improvement for him. He does improve. Only 4 thousandths of a second away from overtaking B23 in the qualifier. As Schulte is getting ready for his lap. Kevin now beginning another lap himself. There's no way that Kevin is going to complete that lap. He is just went back to the pits. Slight update for Kevin's car. There is a new Beals on the inside of his rear wing, as he mentioned to me earlier. If it's your first time here and you're not familiar with the Hololive Racing team, it is a VTuber inspired team, and Kevin has put in a lot of work to make sure each livery does represent a different VTuber. He gives me the whole backstory too, like almost a full Wikipedia page ahead of time with all the information based on who is on his car. So it's always really fun just to see the creativity of the liveries here in GPL. I mean, this livery run by High Caliber is probably one of the coolest ones on the grid. I talked about it earlier, but the Red Bull Mercedes hybrid for the Red Bull Adidas team is really cool to see. A really cool fusion between the two. And the Project Zero VAR car is also really neat to see as well. So it should be a fun time here today. Looking forward to seeing how today plays out. And with about 5 minutes of qualifying left, we're going to go ahead and just dial on a replay here with AJP. And we will see how he does here. So AJP is going to make his way through Curva Grande, coming into the secondary Variante before approaching the Lesmos. He is improving. It is purple in Sector 1, so if he keeps up this pace, he will jump Dennis overall. He'll jump for pole position here with less than 5 minutes to go. So it should be a really tight battle up front. I think Dennis and AJP, it's going to be a fun battle watching these two. Right now, AJP does have the advantage. He's got 2 wins to Dennis's 1. So AJP right now. Oh no, he didn't. He wasn't feeling that lap. So he was purple there for a bit, but he just decided to kind of abandon the lap there. So bit of an interesting call there. Kippenger's going to have a second penalty. This tall man is going to try to get past, try to work with Schulte here. There's no slipstream for qualifying, so that's nothing the drivers will have to worry about. Nico is going to try to close in the gap a little bit here to try to at least get the mental slipstream off of the back of B23's Exo Rapide. So that could be a fun one too. And now we're riding on board with JP as he wraps up his out lap. So qualifying is a very interesting thing. It obviously sets you up pretty nicely for the race itself, but it's not exactly, like at least in this track, it's not as hard to pass on this track as it can be on some other tracks. On GPL County, next week is going to be really tough to see cars pass on because CVG is a very narrow track. Now this track has the modes of being pretty narrow too, so it's not going to be, it's not the easiest track to pass on. It's not like Spa, Francorchamps, or even Barcelona. Easy to pass on as well, but this one is definitely not as hard as CVG. Next week, MotoGP does start his flying lap now. We'll go ahead and just ride on board with MotoGP as he continues his lap, and we'll be back once he's done. Once again, I mean, MotoGP just started setting these really short laps, but then he just doesn't feel it, I guess. So now it's down to the last about minute and a half of qualifying. MotoGP, he's got to get a move on if he wants to try to set. Oh, and B23, oh no! B23 was spun around there. I wonder if we can kind of catch that. Not too sure exactly, so. Let's see. Oh, contact between him and Tall Man. So just a bit of miscommunication there going into Prima Variante. Oh, that might just be it. I don't know if MotoGP will have enough time to go ahead and start his lap. He's going to really get a move on. This could be tight. Dennis might have a pole position here for Hellas Racing. This could be very, very tight. He's into the second sector now. This is really a race against time for MotoGP to even begin to set another lap. And even then, even if he does get the chance to start another lap, he needs to really just lock it in. So that's a bit of an unfortunate situation for MotoGP to find himself in. He made a little bit of contact, and then I mean, he'll get it. He'll start the lap, but he'll be really cutting it close here. And then if he messes up, it's over for MotoGP. He will start the lap. He does get it started with about 5 seconds left to go. And that's going to be qualifying done and done. Nico is going to cross the line next. And he will start from the back of the grid. Kill switch is done. Tall Man is going to go through it as well. So Tall Man and MotoGP. Kevin Schur and Schulte, they're done with their laps. So that's going to be those drivers set in stone at the moment. Tall Man is improving, but not by enough. We'll see about MotoGP trying to get pole position here. Checking on Dennis. Dennis is actually not too far ahead of these two, so this will be a fun little quality battle to really spectate. Coming through Sector 2. Oh, he's not improving in the slightest for Dennis, so this is going to be his qualifying done. 9 seconds off the pace. MotoGP is going to start the next sector. He's not improving either. He's just got to find 2 tenths in this final sector coming through Scari. So this is going to be a fight to the line. I think Dennis might just have pole position pretty much in his grasp. Just needs to confirm it now as MotoGP does swing around and make his way through. Getting stuck behind Tall Man there a little bit, so that's his qualifying pretty much wrapped up. Does not improve his time nor his position. And that will be qualifying done and dusted here. Dennis is on pole position for the second time this season, and that will be a very good result there for the Hellas Racing driver. He will have been glad to get that position, as it's time for the final 10 seconds to tick down on the timer before we officially get into it. As Schulte does have do a little bit of done, a little bit of bumper cars happening between them, but Dennis, pole position for the Grand Prix. We're going to go ahead and walk ourselves through the qualifying order. It is going to be Dennis ahead of May JP, Flaring Gases, B23, Ducky Dono, Schulte, Keminger, and Tallman, and then Killswitch and Nico rounding out the back of the field. So that is going to go ahead and that's going to be then the qualifying. Some drivers not exactly happy about that. Yeah, that is unfortunate. I think the setting with the overtake was the issue. So some overtake tweaks will be made between the qualifier and the race, but the tweak to qualifying throwing the drivers off a bit and threw a lot of them out of their rhythm. But Dennis, the only driver seemingly unshaken by that, and it got him a pole position. And I know it is unfortunate. I'm not sure exactly what's going to happen. I think we are going to just carry on straight into the race. But otherwise, I mean, I do feel bad for the drivers who were affected by it, yes, but also adaptability is pretty much going to be the name of the game in any racing series, whether it's in the sim or the real world. You just got to adapt to the changing conditions, which these drivers do pretty good at. But to come to them from their point of view, they practice for hours upon hours. They run hundreds of laps across the week. A lot of these guys even race in the World Elite Championship as practice, because it's a much longer race. And then they can also just get some data that they can use for the SWT race. That is something that actually a lot of these drivers do tend to do. May JP, Tallman, Dennis, and Ducadono, just to name a few. A few drivers who do get reserve roles into the World Elite Championship. But yeah, it's really tough for these drivers. So drivers are just going to have to go ahead and enter in, and then we'll get going with our 26 laps around Monza. It's a very high-speed circuit. Although we don't run BOP, but this is registered as a high BOP track, or high-speed BOP track, I should say. So low downforce is going to be the name of the game. Not exactly like minimalistic wings, because sometimes some drivers do need a little bit of rear downforce coming through. I would say probably downforce coming through Prima Variante, aka the first of the major chicanes on the track that isn't Ascari. So it'll be an interesting one. This is normally a pretty happy hunting ground for B23, a driver who does have a win on the board, but he did not get it on track. He got it via penalties. Post-race penalties, so he'll want to actually get one done on track. So that's going to be his main aim for today. Dennis is going to look to continue his generational debut with Hellas Racing. He's not a rookie driver by any stretch. He was here back in Season 4, so he's been here before I've even been here. But with that being said, Hellas Racing is a brand new team, and he's practically running this as a privateer entry at this point. He has another teammate, I don't think, period, this entire time. He does have a teammate registered, but they haven't competed in any of the races so far, or at least they have 0 points. So pretty much all the points that Hellas Racing has is definitely due to Dennis. But in the meantime, there's still another half of the season left to go after here. So Monza is pretty much the turning point of the first half of the season. And then we still got 5 more rounds, 10 more race weekends after today. So you guys still get 10 more awesome racing rounds to go, 5 in each division. So should be some real good fun. Some new tracks, obviously. We also have a one more sprint weekend coming up when we go to Trial Mountain Reversed. That should be a fun sprint. But yeah, we're gonna go ahead and just take a quick step back while these drivers get ready to go for the Grand Prix, and we'll be right back. Alright everybody, I believe we are just about to get underway with round number 5, season 7 of the Sprint World Tour. And sure enough, we're just going to sprint straight on into the action here. The red flag will be controlled by Lusion. No overtake before lap 2. Pretty similar to the old DRS rules in Formula 1. But here we go. You hear the revs of the inline 4s cranking up and getting ready to race. We have those 5 red lights about to go on, and we are about to go racing. It is lights out and away we go here in Monza. A beautiful getaway there for Dennis. Major P, not so much. We're gonna make our way down into Prima Variante. And it's going to be a late set from HFB, but it's contacted. A big spin there. Big spin, a big drama. Surprisingly, no damage on any of the cars. But, as you do see, Dennis just got spun all the way around. I was thinking for sure that was going to be the first red flag of the season, but it is not. No red flags here so far, but HAP is in the lead. But I'm sure the stewards are definitely going to have something to say about that one. Oh, I spoke a bit too soon. And we have the first red flag of the season. So the drivers will drop out of the race. And for those of you who, and for a lot of you guys, if you guys are especially just joining in this season, this is the first red flag of the season. So pretty much the red flag just means that the race is going to restart. Everybody will start back from qualifying order due to the massive incident on the opening lap, which did take quite a few drivers out of contention. And it pretty much, although there wasn't any damage as well, so I'm really surprised that there wasn't actually any damage. Because normally it's light damage for these races compared to heavy damage for the top class. So, I mean, the damage would repair itself for it would repair itself after 30 seconds, but yeah, there's no damage. I actually wondered if that was in the settings. I wonder if that's another setting thing that might need to be looked into. So it'll still be 26 laps here because we never got through the opening lap. And yeah, I think actually there's not any damage. I think in the event settings. I'm actually going to check this myself because I am curious. So there is light damage. So it was damaged, but there was no damage actually in the race. So the first red flag of the season has been called. And it is going to be reset back to the primary order from qualifying. And then we'll get back underway. Damage is indeed on. It is light damage. I guess somehow, some way, just nobody got damage in that. So yeah, that's an interesting one. Yeah, exactly. As the YouTube chat is saying, just very lucky to come out unscathed. So we should be back racing here pretty soon, guys. So we do appreciate your patience as we get ready to take on Monza yet again. 26 laps once we get everything sorted, and then it'll be race time yet again. Some interesting stuff going on here in this round. It's been, some spicy words going on. We were going to have at least one round that was going to have a red flag. I would have been extremely impressed if we would have went the entire season without a red flag. I remember, and some of you guys might remember, in Spa last season, I think we maxed out the amount of red flags that we could actually have. I couldn't remember if it was the WEC race or the SWT race. It was one of the two races last season where we had 3 red flags. I want to say it was the WEC race last season, because it was, I think I remember B23 actually being the one to call those red flags, and we were even joking about it a little bit. But regardless, we should be getting back here very, very shortly. So we'll see who as we get ready to kick things back off here very, very shortly. Should be a very entertaining race once we do get underway. Monza is a track that has provided a lot of action over the last couple of seasons, and pretty much there's a reason why it's on every league's calendar, right? Because Monza is just one of those tracks. It's like a staple. It's like that in Spa is like a sim. They're like sim racing staples of any racing calendar. So the drivers understandably just want to get on with things, and they just want to go ahead and just give it a go and get back to racing. So, and I'm sure you guys want the racing just to kick off again too. So we are just gonna go ahead and wait. As the drivers should be, there we go, now we're getting back to racing. So we're gonna go to rejoin the grid as the racing does kick off here yet again. And here we go, we're gonna jump back straight to the grid. Qualifying order as it was previously. Who's ready for Monza? Season 7, round number 5, take 2. And you can hear those engines revving up as take 2 is about to get underway. It is red lights, camera, and green flag action as we get back racing here in Monza. Dennis, another good getaway from him. High Caliber, though, getting some good launches themselves as we make our way into the Prima Variante. B23 does break a bit earlier. MayJP trying to go side by side. A few cars going off. Flying Ace is now tumbling down the order as the two Red Bull Adidas machines makes pretty good progress here. But right now it is still the top three in the World Championship, all in the top three of the race. Dennis, MayJP, B23. It is XO23 at the moment. Tallman now trying to put some pressure on to Schulte as he is trying to go ahead and fight his way through. Schulte now is going to be under some pressure. The Canadian driver who's having a home Grand Prix 2 weeks from now in CVG. He's going to try to make a move onto the reigning champion of B23. He's going to try to send it. He does get the pass coming up. And then we have B23 trying to send it back to Ascari, and he does get the move. B23, good overtake there into Ascari. He loves this track. It's his favorite track ever. And he's going to try to make the most of it. Now Schulte is under pressure from the two Red Bull Adidas machines. It's about to go 3 wide through Parabolica. 3 wide through Parabolica. And that is crazy racing here between them. And now the Red Bull Adidases are in a High Caliber sandwich as they make their way down, coming into Prima Variante. It is RBA and HCR. They're going 2 by 2, going into it. Oh, and a big spin! And Decadono has been spun around. And we'll need to get that from another POV. So, yeah, let's go ahead and do it from the player camera. So here comes Decadono going deep in. Oh, he gets tagged by his teammate there and then just gets bumped around by the two High Calibers. So that one's probably going to go to the stewards. We'll see how that one plays out. But yeah, very unfortunate there for Decadono. Red Bull Adidas has had one of the most unfortunate seasons in recent memory. It's just it seems like every race they just get bumped around. Right now it is going to be RBA and High Caliber Racing. The Project Zero cars still have made some ways up. They pretty much lined up the back of the grid and now they're up in the P7 and 8. So they're going to go ahead and try to put some pressure onto the former World Elite Championship driver of Flaring Aces. A driver who has spent so many seasons racing in that second Toyota seat. He's now in the High Caliber. He does have a race win this season around the circuit at Barcelona, Catalunya. A bit earlier on this season in round 2. Nico now trying to go ahead and try to fight it. Coming to Parabolica now. He's going to get a pretty good run here. Trying to chase down Flaring Aces. This is going to be a battle for P6 on the road. As Flaring Aces just trying to chase down Tallman and Schulte. Tallman and Schulte trading blows, trading positions, and the High Caliber driver will get up into P4. As Tallman's looking for what is going to be one of, if not his best finish of the season. And he's going to go ahead and try to make a move. Not quite, a bit too much real estate there for him to really try to send it into the second Variante, now heading through the Lesmos. As Tallman is still going to try to put some pressure onto the High Calibers. Just jumping up to the front, the top 3 is still separated by quite a good margin. B23 running on the softs, actually everybody in the top 3 running on softs. Tallman's going to try to make the pass coming into Ascari, and he does get the move down before him. A bit of extra contact though between Schulte and Tallman. Mamma mia, we're seeing some good action here in Monza. As now it's going to be the two High Calibers potentially going side by side in the Parabolica. And the Flying Gates is not going to try to make a lunge on his teammates, as they are still trying to fight trying to stay in that P2 in the constructors just behind EXO. As they're going to try to run down Tallman. Can Tallman hold up on the defense coming into the first chicane? He's going to go deep on the brakes, try to keep it on the outside, trying to pinch Schulte there. The pinch is successful, a little on the nose, but it is successful. And the two High Caliber teammates almost colliding with each other now. And so far in Monza, we are seeing some pretty good action and a straight up war between Red Bull, Adidas, and High Caliber. Schulte sending the dive on the inside, gets the move done, a little bit of bump to margin, but it's going to allow Tommy back to flank aces though. He's going to go ahead and just fight it. And once again, it is pretty much Tall Man versus the two High Calibers. Now, P4 would be a career best finish for the young British driver. He made his debut during the community series we had over the latter half of 2025, in kind of in the gap between season 6 and season 7, as he raced in the LLP Master Series, and he was the first driver to actually get picked up by LFO. And then he raced under the Arctic Ace banner for a short time before Arctic Ace pulled out. And then just before the season, he got signed to Red Bull Adidas, the team he is racing with now. And he has found a good home there. I could see this partnership lasting quite a bit, as he is having a fantastic round here in Monza. Kevin Joe now making some good ground. He is up into 7th on the road, as now it is JP closing in the gap to Dennis, sending purple sectors, looking for a fastest lap here. He's burned up some overtake. Dennis, though, has not burned up any overtake. So, JP burning a little bit of the resource. B23 just falling a bit back. He's currently about almost 4.5 seconds back. Inching closer to about 5 seconds back. Maybe trying to play a bit more on the conservative side for the strategy, as we do know that B23 is a very strategic driver when it comes to the grand scheme of things. We did get an official notice for the reason why the red flag goes up. Schulte taps Dennis's rear end and then make him spin and going off track, severely compromising his race. That is the official reasoning given for the red flag. And now we're on lap 5 out of 26. So far, it's been a pretty solid race here. We've had some really good battles, especially right at the midfield. Pretty much, you got Tall Man and the two High Calibers really fighting for the best of the rest here, as those gaps are kind of spread out. Cameron though is going to be under pressure from Kill Switch. So Kill Switch in that Project Zero car, the team currently at the bottom of the constructors. They'll want to take advantage of the fact that LFO Karma has no drivers present here today, so he will definitely want to try to take advantage of the situation at hand, but both of these drivers will, as they try to go ahead and fight. Oh, sorry, Project Zero is not dead last. I apologize. That's Hololive. The Hololive also wanted to make the most of the fact that the two LFO Karma drivers are not present here today, as the battles will rage on here. Killswitch getting a bit snappy coming through as we jump back up to the front. The gap has closed in within a second between Major P and Dennis. So the two of the drivers at the top of the championship only separated by P23. If the race finishes as is, Dennis will jump up into P2 in the Drivers' Championship. So this is going to be a very crucial fight in the World Championship picture. And both drivers are on the overtake, getting that extra 25 horsepower to rocket it down the main straight, coming into the first chicane basically, as they go through. Dennis still holding on here, but it looks like he's getting a bit of a better exit. It looks like just ever so slightly he is managing those tires just a bit better. A lot better as well. So lots of management going on here. A lot of things the drivers are going to think about. It's not as much of a management race as some of the WEC races can be, because they are roughly about half the distance. Not quite half, but a little bit more than half. I'd say about maybe 55%, probably, if I were to put a percentage on it. But with that being said, JP is still going to try to close it down on to Dennis, as these guys are really going to try to fight for position. This has huge championship implications as well. JP has led the championship from the offset of the season when he took the win in Dragon Trail. And he's been pretty much right there at the top pretty much ever since. They're now making their way into Prima Variante. I'm sorry, now I get the name right. Going into Parabolica. As they continue, some other battles happening up and down the field. Kemmerer now still trying to run away from Killswitch. Some more battles happening up and down the field, but we'll be kind of slipping between AJP's battle with Dennis, and then this battle back here between Killswitch and Kemmerer, about the same distance from each other. Kemmerer looking pretty solid right now, currently in P6. As those Saltars are going to at least give a pretty good jump start here. I don't know if anybody has actually started on the mediums or not. It doesn't look like it as we just check through. Yes, everybody started on the soft tires, so we'll probably see the medium tires a bit later on. Dennis has pulled away a bit from AJP, so this battle has somewhat neutralized in the time being. As Kemmerer has actually now pulled out a 1 second gap to Killswitch. So that's going to neutralize some of the battles we see here on track. Tall Man does have a 1 second penalty as Fargases does jump into P4. The 1 second penalty from 2 track limit violations. Normally it's a half second penalty for track limit violations, and this time he got 1, so he must have got 2 of them somewhere. Probably in the second variante is probably where it was at. That second chicane just before Lesmo 1. But as we go through the rest of the field, Tall Man's penalty is going to allow Kemmerer to really close back in a bit. You lose more than just a second, really. You lose actually, how about it goes to the 2 or 3 seconds. Because basically you lift off the throttle for an entire second is what happens when you go to that penalty. But a spin must have happened here somewhere, because now we're going to take a look at it. So this is Dennis at AJP. This is where the change for the lead happened. AJP, forcing Dennis off into the gravel there. And Dennis has a bit of a spin trying to recover from it. So that was AJP just barging his way through. That might be under review for the stewards. As AJP now does soar into lead. It might just get considered a racing incident. Those do tend to happen in the first chicane. You know, that's notorious for a reason. If you've had any kind of, even a public race, if you've had a public race around here, then you know just how lethal that first chicane was. But yeah, I think AJP was a bit optimistic there, but we'll see what the stewards say about it. It was a bit of a lunge, but I mean, when you try to go that competitive in the turn 1 contact is expected. But now focusing in on the battle between Killswitch and Kemmerer. They're currently racing through the field right now as it sits. So, riding on board with Killswitch now as he does try to close in the gap to Kemmerer. Coming through Parabolica now. They do have Tall Man just kind of like right in between them. So this could be a fun three-way fight for the last spot in the top 5. We're going to go ahead and stick with Kemmerer as we're going to take a quick hydration lap. Go ahead and get some water, stay hydrated, and we'll be right back. So we were seeing some really good racing, and the racing still continues. Kemmerer looking to retake the position from Killswitch, making their way down into Prima Variante. Side by side they go. Kemmerer is going to retake the position, but Kemmerer on the switchback, trying to get the move done. And he won't quite get it there on to Kemmerer. Still going to be a pretty big fight between these two. This is going to be a fun battle to keep an eye on. Tallman has effectively ran away from these two at the moment, with Killswitch now trying any which way to try to get a move on to Kemmerer. As pretty much everybody in the top four is pretty well separated. So we'll stick around with this battle here. Killswitch now trying to close in that gap to Kemmerer up ahead. The Hololive driver is going to be under some pressure. He doesn't have the best tires though at this stage. So his tires are in a bit of a rough spot here as they continue to race. So you can see the graining on that front left tire from Killswitch as he's going to try to line the move, maybe try to get it done before they go through Parabolica. Bit of a tough one, but if these guys keep battling, Ducadona is going to go ahead and jump back into the fight, and he's going to want some revenge after getting spun around earlier on. So nobody's made their pit stops yet. The pit stop cycle is still waiting to come around. AJP though does set the fastest lap of the race so far, but Dennis is really closing in now, so Dennis having to burn a good amount of overtake to try to catch back up to one of his two championship rivals. And Dennis is really going to try to make some moves, try to make up some distance. He might actually just need a pit. He might try to get the undercut on the AJP. So the pit window should be here pretty soonish, I would imagine. And you could probably get to, you could probably jump on a set of mediums, I would say, probably for the rest of the race. I would think anyway. I mean, these drivers have put in the laps. They know the strategy a bit better than I would. But if I were to make a guess, it's probably going to be a switch to the mediums. You could almost run soft to soft here if you do extend one of the stints. But neither of the front runners jumped into the pits yet, so the soft to soft might just be the strategy that's being employed here. So they might just go soft to soft. And that's the thing about GPL, as long as you're running racing tires, it doesn't matter which ones you run, or how many of them you run. You can run soft to soft, soft to medium, soft to hard, soft to intermediates. You can throw in wets if you want, although Monza is not one of the tracks that could get rain here in Gran Turismo, so I don't know why we'd opt in for that, but now the script has pretty much flipped now, where Dennis is actually at the overtake disadvantage as he's burned a bit more overtake trying to catch up to AJP as the two go around. AJP though is going to try to lock it in and try to get another win under his belt, but Dennis is going to be hunting after the same thing, especially after that off double he had earlier on in fighting AJP going through. So it's going to be a strong fight between these two. I love watching battles between these two. They are always a genuine blast. And now they're so close. Comes to Parabolica. A fight might just be imminent between these two. We're gonna, oh, and actually they're gonna take their battle straight to the pit lane. So they're taking their battle straight on into the pits. They're both gonna jump in for some brand new tires. It's probably gonna be soft to soft at this rate. Yep, sure enough. And it has been soft to soft. So I'd imagine that's probably the strategy for these tires coming to the end, as there is Flaring Aces right there with them. So Flaring Aces is on an older tire compared to the two behind, and actually, if that was P23, then AJP would be in a pretty good spot, because they might play the team game at that point and try to get AJP his championship on his rookie season. Flaring Aces though said he get purple sector this lap. So Flying Ace is doing pretty good here. Dennis is now pretty much all over the back of MayJP. Hopper got point out with the Greek driver in the helmet cam as he makes his way through the Lesmo. It seems like MayJP just gets a little bit more, but Dennis is just burning so much overtake, putting himself at a tad bit of a disadvantage here ahead of MayJP. But MayJP was doing the same thing when he was behind, so two drivers that are in pretty similar mindsets. The dirty air is somehow, it seems like it helped Dennis there at the moment, because now he's closing. He's going for the pass. He's burning the overtake, and he lets off the overtake right as he gets past MayJP. That's the battle for the net race lead as B23 does come into the pits. Same with Flying Aces, so now that's going to promote these two back into the lead of the race. MayJP though gonna burn the overtake, try to close in the gap, maybe try to get it into the first chicane. Is he gonna try to run the outside? Yes, he does! The aggressive chop across the front of Dennis is gonna give MayJP the lead right back. No contact this time, just clean, hard racing between MayJP and Dennis. We are pretty much halfway through the race already, well over halfway through the race. But yeah, you said it the best there, Whiteout. This is a beautiful battle here in the Spirit World Tour. Beautiful fighting between Dennis, between MayJP. This is what racing is all about right here, ladies and gentlemen. Just pure, no holds barred. Get your elbows out, get your wheels out, just straight up racing. Clean racing, no contact, just pure fighting. And that's what you love to see in racing. These guys are really going to fight it out, but here's the thing, MayJP's got way more overtake to play with. Dennis now going to try it. MayJP already exercising some of that championship mentality. It is Dusty on the runoff area. He's going to start burning overtake now, as both drivers are going to try to negotiate into the first chicane. MayJP though is going to stick it for now. Bit of bump drive there from Dennis as he's trying to find any sort of purchase here in this fight. He wants to knock MayJP off the top step of the podium. He's going to look for it coming into the second chicane. Second de Variante. Dennis gets a move. He gets to lunge. MayJP trying to come back. Not yet. But the overtake advantage still plays in the hands of MayJP. The tires are the same. So this is going to be a beautiful, beautiful fight between MayJP and Dennis, and this is an interesting approach, and it's so interesting the difference between these two, like strategically, right? And how the strategy between the two is actually flip-flopped, because earlier MayJP was the one on the more aggressive side of things, just more going full tilt. So that could be a fun thing to notice, is that they're just battling it out, fighting for these positions. MayJP was more aggressive previously, but now Dennis is the one being a lot more aggressive. And now these two might have evened out. Flying Ace is trying to catch up to B23 here in the back, but right now it's going to be side by side again, Dennis and MayJP. Who's going to be the braver on the brakes? Answer's going to be Dennis, blocking MayJP out. Dennis holds onto the position, and with 10 laps to go, everything is breaking loose here. Both of these drivers wants to get a W for the Easter basket, but one of them is just going to take home the L, as Dennis is going to try to stick it on the inside. He's got the inside, but MayJP a bit more overspeed coming into the chicane. He will get that position, and now Dennis is going to trail through the Lesmos. I think Dennis might also have a bit of so Dennis has been a bit more aggressive, but it seems like the aggression kind of trades off a bit, because Dennis was a bit more strategic with his overtake early on, but now he was a bit more aggressive with the overtake. The complete flip-flop between him and MayJP earlier. MayJP was pretty much right on the overtake very early on, burned a lot of it while Dennis hadn't touched hardly any of his at that stage. But now the two are pretty much equal on overtake. So this is just going to be a battle of constant flip-flops between Dennis and May JP. This is exactly what you come to see here. Side by side again, trading the positions. And it's going to be a drag race down the line into the first chicane. Once again, coming down into turn 1, May JP tries to go a bit wider. Dennis is deep on the brakes. Bit of contact here. Force them on the curve. They're both trying to give each other the racing respect. May JP holds on to that P1 for now, but him and Dennis are going to really just square off here. The first of many times that these two are going to duke it out. Dennis, though, is going to try again. He's going to still do a little bit of bump drafting here between himself and May JP. And this is exactly what you guys... it's a free... We do these streams for free, but this is exactly... metaphorical. This is, guys, what you pay to see right here. This is beautiful battling between the two. May JP, though, he does have one Dennis still trying to chase him down. They're now coming up to the Ascari chicane. May JP seems to be a bit quicker through there, but Dennis just not giving up an inch because he knows how this battle is going to go. You give an inch, the other's going to take a mile or several kilometers at that point. Oh, Dennis had a big snap of oversteer, and that might have just been the break that May JP needed to break away here. Gonna jump aboard with a replay of what happened here. So it looks like just a bit of a tap there for Dennis, and that's what just kind of sent him the wrong way around. But he's already pretty much caught right back up to May JP. As we do see B23 there just making his way back on through. As these guys are really trying to duke it out. Dennis, though, actually now Dennis has more overtake to play with. Tires look about the same between these two, so it might just be a bit of a setup difference between May JP and Dennis that's allowing Dennis to really just close it in. So I think Dennis is running a bit of a lower downforce compared to May JP. May JP is picking him off in the corners, but down the straights, Dennis has just got every ounce of advantage. So Dennis being a bit more aggressive here, improving on his lap time, and this could be a beautiful fight. This could be a real cinematic masterpiece here. May JP does pull out to about a second now. We're going to check away through the rest of the field. Flare Gates has actually really closed in on B23 here. So we are seeing a lot, and actually I think a bit further back there might be a battle kind of circulating here. I think Chemistry is trying to do the same thing to Kill Switch here. They're only about 2 seconds apart. So these guys could fight it out really nicely. Dennis is able to catch him on the straights, but I think May JP just has a little bit of that advantage in the corners. And I think now at this stage, I think that's what's kind of helping May JP here, looking to secure his 3rd win in GPL and to bolster that championship lead. Now he's on in a personal improvement for best lap. Dennis is still going to try to fight it, but I think he had a bit of a better exit through the 2nd chicane. Now coming through the Lesmos. And Dennis is closing that gap. The gap is kind of stabilizing for the most part, but I mean, you are still just gonna go absolutely pedal to the metal, and you're just gonna let that car just rip here through Monza. And Dennis looks like he's just determined to give us a show here between these two. Now closing in, coming into Parabolica. The wind here has actually not been an issue this time, I've noticed. Drivers haven't really complained about the wind this round like they have in previous rounds here. Spa was the notorious ones in Barcelona. But now it seems like the wind is just really helping these drivers out, trying to fight for a position. The slipstream Four Dennis is going to allow him to close in quite a bit. Doesn't even need to use the overtake, as they are pretty much level for overtake! And Dennis just overcooks it. Dennis has overcooked it on the exit. That was all him right there. And that battle has neutralized itself. So just a little too much throttle on the exit has given AJP exactly what he needs to run away with this one now. And he doesn't have a lot of overtake left, or a lot of laps really. He's got about 6 laps to go. So unless AJP goofs up himself, then AJP might be getting a 3rd win on the season. The gaps here are pretty well spread out at the moment, so there won't be any immediate battles. The closest one here is just going to be Flying Aces trying to catch up to B23, which, just taking a look at the lap times, he's been about half a second or more quicker. And actually in one instance, it looks like he was over a second quicker than B23 in some stages. So, and Flying Aces has a lot of overtake to play with now, with about 5 laps to go once they cross the line. So the battle for P1 might be done and dusted, but the final step on the podium is still going to be hot property for Flaring Aces and B23. I hope we get to see some excellent racing like we've seen between Dennis and AJP earlier on. I think that's going to be a really good battle to watch if it does happen again. But B23 just keeping B23 out of the, B23 keeping Flaring Aces out of that slipstream range. That is going to be the biggest thing for him. Just keeping him well out of that range, keeping out of that danger zone, so that these drivers can still just give it their all. They're leaving nothing to chance, as it is going to be Flying Aces still trying to close in the gap, but I think B23 is fighting to stabilize that gap. I wonder if Dennis will be able to fight his way back as well. But here's the thing though, it's four laps to go once they cross the line, and it is going to be, unless AJP makes a big mistake, it's going to be tough. It's just going to be tough. I mean, Dennis could still claw his way back. I mean, he's been wrapped here all day, arguably one of the quickest cars on the track today. But, I mean, just that big snap a couple of laps ago was just kind of poured some cold water onto that fire that Dennis was building up. So, Tallman now. Tallman's actually doing pretty good. He's had a pretty uneventful race for the most part. So, he's had some really good battles in the early stages against the 2 high caliber drivers, but ever since the second half of the race, it has been a pretty anonymous race for Tallman, where drivers had a bit of a tough go out of it, like Tallman has. I mean, you're welcome an anonymous race here and there. Got 24 seconds to Flaring Aces up the road, about 2 seconds to kill switch. So he's going to be in a good spot. Dennis, though, actually, never mind. Dennis was clawing that gap back, but now, as he's getting ready to come up to the final 3 laps of the race, he's got a 1.5 seconds of penalties. So that might put him actually in striking distance of B23. Oh, but look at this speed of B23. B23 and Aces going wheel to wheel now, coming through the Parabolica. And that was a battle that happened a bit sooner than I expected, but it is going to be Flying Aces ahead with 3 to go. It's going to be a drag race down to Prima Variante. And here we go. We wanted a battle like what we saw with AJP and Dennis, and we're getting that. B23 trying to probe at Flaring Aces here, trying to find a gap, trying to find anything. He's going to go ahead and just try to poke around. trying to find any kind of weakness in Flying Aces. Flying Aces does have more overtake that he can burn. Actually, not anymore. So Flying Aces did burn a lot of that overtake to catch up to B23. So that's going to help. But then, just a little bit up the road, we do have Dennis, who does have that penalty. And this actually is going to potentially bring these two back in to contention for a battle. Flying Aces and B23 are going to go ahead and give it a go. This is one of B23's favorite tracks. Flying Aces, though, does get a purple sector too, so he's about to improve on his personal best lap here. B23 just falling away bit by bit by bit. Just doesn't quite have the same pace to really keep up with Aces at the moment. Aces just doing a fantastic job. As now we're seeing here, in terms of tire situation, so P3 and 4 are pretty much the same. Penultimate lap of the Grand Prix here, the front two are the same. And yeah, this could have been a really strong fight with the lead, but unfortunately Dennis might be able to snag a P2 here if all things go as planned. Jumping a bit further back, Tallman and Kill Switch. They're gonna be back at it again. This has been a fun fight to watch. This one happened early on in the race. On the penultimate lap here at Monza, we got battles all over the field. Kemisher and Schulte might be going at it here soon. But my attention is going to be really curious about this battle for P2. Dennis has got some good pace, but he's got worse tires than Aces and B23. B23 just seemingly just doesn't have the same kind of pace that Flying Aces has, although he does close the gap in a little bit just before turning onto Scary. Tallman and Killswitch are going to fight it out here pretty soon. So you just got exciting battles up and down the field at the moment. Like there really isn't one spot. I mean, now this battle is pretty much neutralized. So AJP will start the final lap of the Grand Prix. So that'll be pretty much his race, pretty much set in stone. As I believe that is Nico just up the road ahead. Nico could be a bit of an obstacle there. He's being shown the blue flag, but Tallman could get blocked by Killswitch's teammate. And so Tallman now, he'll want to clear Nico pretty quickly, because otherwise this could open up the door for Kemisher. B23 now back up front. Kemisher, or sorry, Ace is trying to hold off B23 here. Kemisher kind of in a no man's land here at the moment. He's not too far ahead of Schulte, but not super close to him either. 8 seconds at Tallman, but actually Killswitch and Tallman drag race to the line. Nico kind of being that minister of defense right then and there. So Tallman gonna try to send it up the inside. Nico's right there though. Nico might accidentally block his own teammate. As Tallman does retake that P5 for the Red Bull Adidas team. But this is gonna be a fun battle to watch just up and down the field. AJP though, he's making his way to Scar for one last time. This wasn't an easy win by any stretch. He had to fight for it. He had to fight Dennis, who put up a valiant effort today, but unfortunately, just that one mistake a couple laps ago sealed his fate. But making his way around the final corner, he's going to take win number 3 of the season and extend that championship lead. AJP wins the Italian Grand Prix. Dennis in P2. Flying Aces rounding out the podium. B23 P4. But who's going to win this fight? Tallman, Killswitch. They're both going to scrap it out here right at the end. This is for the last spot in the top 5. Top 4 already have been decided. Tallman now going to try to hold on. Killswitch, he's got the slipstream. And he's going to try to hold on to it. Tallman playing defensively in the Red Bull Adidas. Trying to give Red Bull Adidas one of their best results of the season. It's going to be a drag race to line. Tallman gets P5. Killswitch P6. And that was a close battle. But in the end, Tallman does get it. Heather Killswitch, who finishes at the Kemisher. Schulte, Nico finishes the lap down. And Duckadona rounds out the grid. But your winner for the 3rd time this season is the driver that's about to pop across your screen. AJP wins for the third time this season in Monza. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at our results here on the day. And it is going to be, oh, I keep hitting the wrong buttons. It is going to be May JP winning here ahead of Dennis, ahead of Flying Gazes, who does secure the fastest lap at the P23 tall man, kill switch, Kimmerscher, Schulte, and Duncan Dunno and Nico rounding out the field. So that's going to be the end of the broadcast here today. We are heading to Canada for the next round of the Grand Prestige League. It'll be Weck's turn around CVG, one of the two newest tracks in Gran Turismo 7. It'll be uncharted territory for a lot of these drivers, and it'll be the first time the GPL hits the North American country of Canada. On behalf of everybody here at GPL, my name has been Patrick Goldman, aka Rekus, and I've been your host and commentator for today's Grand Prix. Tune in next week when we take on the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve here for the next two races. Shout out to our sponsor of W.GG. Use promo code GPL for a 10% discount to go ahead and get yourself some hydration and some energy. Summer's coming up quicker than any of us would probably like to admit, so the hydration is going to be doubly important. On behalf of everybody, stay hydrated and have a good rest of your Easter day.